It's time once again for the wacky hijinks of Dennis the Duginist Menace. Today's episode, hiding the opportunist bigotry of your comrades. Recently, philosopher Daniel Tutt wrote an article about the American Communist Party and the MAGA communist phenomenon in general. The article highlighted the disdain the movement had for certain sections of the working class and their conservative socio-cultural positions. The ACP contingent, whether the members or their orbiters, were in their feelings about the characterization of the party, one of which was Dennis the Duginist Menace. In fact, he was so bothered by the article that he wrote a whole thesis on Twitter airing out his grievances. The article contains their usual bad faith dodges of valid criticisms of the ACP's praxis. However, I'm going to focus on the latter half of the article concerning quote-unquote culture war issues. First of all, this is complete and utter bullshit. I have been organizing with leftists and communists, many of which are queer and trans, and they do not divide the working class on quote-unquote culture war issues. In fact, they have been on the front lines fighting for everybody regardless of race, gender, sexuality, type of employment, etc. Meanwhile, you have people like
I literally have met tons of Palestinians in LA, and it was like, I remember because, you know, they were totally lefties. They were young Palestinians from Palestine who still have family there. But again, these are like the ugly ducklings. They come here and they push their wokeism.
Mr. Charlatan is literally getting mad at Palestinians at a pro-Palestine protest for being too woke and trying to dictate how they should run their movement. How is that okay, but forcing everyone to adopt liberal cultural views by saying you should be more tactful in how you deal with marginalized people not okay? Dennis, you are a menace. Moving on, Dennis the Duginist Menace claims that Western leftist positions are off-putting to the working class, which prevents the socialist message from resonating with them. If that is the case, how does he explain the solidarity lesbians and gays support the miners had with striking mine workers during Thatcher Milksnatcher's ruthless neoliberal regime in the 1980s? If we were to follow the Duginist Menace's logic all the way through, the mine workers would be put off by the unabashed queerness of LGSM and refuse their allyship. But that didn't happen. You know what did happen?
There's too many of you. What? You'll have to go to the front. You'll have to leave.
No, hey, we're not losing our banners, mate.
What's he mean too many?
Celebrate.
I think he means them.
Gays and lesbians have been absolutely magnificent. There's no other word for it.
You must have found it a bit weird, a load of gays and lesbians descending on you like that.
Why on earth would we have found that weird?
Just like the Pits and Perverts concert organized by LGSM in the 80s, a coalition of organizations, one of which was a queer-led Muslim group, organized a drag-themed fundraiser for the purposes of showing solidarity and extending allyship. By imposing your own short-sighted opportunism on a movement for liberation, you're preventing solidarity from being realized, and you're also preventing more people, whether they be Palestinian or not, from becoming allies of LGBTQ+ people. Dennis, you are a menace. This point is meaningless and unnecessary, because many radical LGBTQ+ activists, and even dare I say, queer theorists, have already made substantial critiques of the way the capitalist class has co-opted and commodified the LGBTQ+ movement for their own ends. In fact, these activists came up with such concepts as pinkwashing, homo-nationalism, and rainbow capitalism to describe the bourgeoisie class's bastardization of queer liberation as a tool of class warfare. Dennis, you are a menace. Lastly, all this is a bunch of eye-rape. The LGBTQ+ movement in its purest form has been all about critiquing bourgeois ideology and the cultural values which undergird it. For example, radical LGBTQ activists have made ruthless criticisms of marriage and the nuclear family as superstructural elements of capitalist society and class society as a whole, and as instruments weaponized by the ruling class as means to pass down private property. In fact, a strong argument can be made that many aspects and concepts of queer theory can be traced back to Marx and Engels' materialist conception of history, and is perfectly in line with Marxist analysis. An analysis which critiques the way heteronormativity is enforced from a young age, which gives the illusion that it is the natural default. Such illusions are part and parcel of patriarchal class society. Dennis, you are a goddamn menace. What other wacky escapades will he be in next? Tune in next time for the zany hijinks of Dennis the Duginist Menace.